For decades, NATO's strength has been its unity. Dozens of nations coordinating soldiers, aircraft, and fleets under one command. But in the 21st century, that unity is also its greatest challenge. With so many different systems, languages, and doctrines, decision-making can be slow. Too slow for modern wars, where drone swarms and cyber strikes unfold in milliseconds. That's why NATO has begun experimenting with something radical, an AI system codenamed Ghostwriter, designed to coordinate battles across multiple nations, almost like a digital general. Unlike most AI projects, Ghostwriter isn't about a single weapon. It's about the entire chain of command. At its core, Ghostwriter is an algorithm built to process vast amounts of data: satellite imagery, radar feeds, troop positions, logistics flows, and then generate battle plans in real time. Think of it as a war simulator that never sleeps, constantly updating and revising strategies as the battlefield shifts. In past wars, human commanders relied on staff officers working through reports. Ghostwriter can do the same job millions of times faster, integrating inputs from dozens of allied nations. Imagine a scenario. A NATO fleet in the Baltic Sea comes under cyber attack. Ghostwriter instantly analyzes the origin, matches it with intelligence reports, recommends countermeasures, and reallocates air defense assets before human officers can even finish briefing the situation. The promise is clear. Wars are now too fast and too complex for traditional chains of command. Hypersonic missiles travel at 5 times the speed of sound. Drone swarms can overwhelm defenses in seconds. Electronic warfare can blind radars instantly. In that chaos, a system like Ghostwriter could mean survival. For NATO, it's not just about speed. It's about coordination. With member nations operating different tanks, planes, and radars, Ghostwriter acts as a translator, integrating them into a single operating picture. In effect, it turns dozens of separate militaries into one digitally unified force. But the dangers are just as profound. By giving an algorithm influence over military decisions, NATO steps into ethically fraught territory. How much authority should Ghostwriter have? Should it only suggest strategies, or actually issue commands? What if its recommendations clash with political considerations? Critics warn that relying too heavily on AI could erode human judgment in war. Wars are not just numbers and logistics. They involve psychology, diplomacy, and moral calculation. Ghostwriter may be brilliant at allocating missiles, but blind to the political fallout of using them. Still, the technology is advancing fast. In 2023 and 2024, NATO held several joint exercises in which AI systems were tested for real-time decision support. Ghostwriter was reportedly used in simulations where it managed multi-domain battles: air, land, sea, cyber, suggesting moves that human officers later admitted they would never have thought of in time. For commanders, the message was clear: the machine sees patterns they can't. And that raises a chilling possibility. What happens when Ghostwriter's recommendations are consistently more accurate than those of human generals? At what point does its advice become an order in everything but name? Will NATO's future wars be fought under human oversight or under the invisible hand of an algorithm? The geopolitical implications are massive. Russia and China are already developing their own AI command systems. China's intelligentized warfare doctrine explicitly envisions AI-driven battle networks that outpace human opponents. Russia has tested automated battle management systems in Ukraine, though with limited success. If NATO falls behind in this domain, its edge could erode rapidly. Ghostwriter is meant to ensure that doesn't happen. By harnessing AI as a force multiplier, NATO hopes to maintain its advantage over authoritarian rivals. But it's not just an arms race. Ghostwriter also represents a shift in how alliances themselves function. In past wars, disagreements between allies slowed responses. But with a shared AI brain, NATO could bypass those frictions, creating instant consensus through machine-optimized plans. Some call it the future of collective defense. Others fear it could weaken national sovereignty, with smaller nations losing control to an AI consensus driven by larger powers. The risks extend even further. If Ghostwriter ever suffered a cyber intrusion, the consequences could be catastrophic. Imagine Russia hacking the system, not to shut it down but to subtly alter its recommendations. NATO commanders might not even realize they were following enemy-influenced plans until it was too late. That's why security experts say Ghostwriter must be one of the most heavily guarded AI systems in the world. Yet no system is ever completely safe. And then there's the question of escalation. Ghostwriter's speed could cut both ways. Yes, it may allow NATO to respond instantly to threats, but what if that instant response escalates a situation that could have been defused with slower, more careful diplomacy? When machines compress the timeline of war, they may also compress the timeline to catastrophe. Still, NATO seems determined to push forward. In Brussels, officials describe Ghostwriter not as replacing human leadership, but as AI-augmented command. In other words, humans still decide, but AI ensures they have the clearest, fastest picture possible. For now, that balance may hold, but history shows that once machines prove more reliable, militaries often give them more responsibility. It starts with suggestions, then recommendations, then, eventually, execution. Ghostwriter may not fire a missile or pilot a drone, but in the wars of tomorrow, it could decide where those missiles are aimed, which drones are launched, and which battles are fought. It's invisible, but it could become the most powerful weapon NATO has ever deployed. So here's the question. If Ghostwriter becomes NATO's digital general, are we witnessing the birth of safer, faster collective defense? Or the first step toward wars commanded not by humans, but by algorithms with no stake in the cost of blood and lives?